If this is your first time seeing me here, my name is Heather Austin. I'm from ProfessorAustin.com and the Career Club on Facebook, and I provide solutions for those that want to level up in their career. So I'm so glad that you're tuning in to listen to this live career coaching session. We're just going to go ahead and jump right straight to question number 1. So this first question actually comes from Amanda Jade, and Amanda Jade is a member of the Career Club on Facebook, and she says, my question today is about LinkedIn. I am trying to improve my profile and was wondering on your thoughts of using my graduation picture on the site. So give me a thumbs up or a heart or a wow face if you've ever had questions about your LinkedIn profile photo. I know that I've had this question a lot from others over the years as I've been teaching about LinkedIn, and there's a couple of standards that you really want to follow when it comes to your LinkedIn profile. Now, because LinkedIn is a professional network, you're not going to post a super casual photo. Now, you will find some individuals that have that are in like an art or a design or more of a casual industry that's okay for them, but you really want your LinkedIn profile to kind of be above a notch above what you would have on a more informal platform. So a couple of rules to follow, Amanda, here would be to make sure that you're smiling in your photo. Just kind of like the standard rule of thumb. Make sure you're smiling in your photo. Make sure that you are wearing clothing appropriate to your industry. Now, if your industry is more casual, again, you probably don't want to dress in a suit and a tie, but you can wear kind of like whatever is appropriate to your industry. The other thing too that you want to think about is you really want your photo to be taken from your elbow up. So a lot of times you'll see photos of people from far away, and it's harder to see who that person is. So you really want your face to be showing, and then you want to always be looking directly at the camera. Now, in terms of wearing your graduation, like a graduation cap and gown or things like that, my recommendation would actually be to dress in a professional outfit because you're looking into the future. So graduation, even though that might have been something that was just recent, you really want to think about who you are as a working professional, and that's really what you want your picture to say. So I wouldn't recommend wearing graduation attire in your outfit. You can always put your education and your accomplishments in the education section, and a hiring official can view that, but I would recommend staying away from any cap and gown. Another couple of things to remember when it comes time to for your profile photo is to not wear hats and sunglasses. So sometimes I've seen this before, and that doesn't give the employer or anyone viewing your profile a real good idea of really who you are. So I would take away any of those distractions. And then if you can, I know a lot of people have a hard time. They say, Heather, I don't have a professional photographer to help me with my photo. You really don't need a professional photographer. In fact, I have a video and I'll link that up in the comments. You can use your phone, and I would actually recommend using the backside of your phone because it has a better camera, and just be on a neutral background and have a friend take a picture of you until if you can go for a professional headshot, that's awesome. So great question. Thanks, Amanda, for asking that. And I'm going to go ahead really quickly and just paste this in here really quick into the comments section so you guys can take a look at the video I did about how to take a LinkedIn profile photo. Okay, let's jump over to our next question. Our next question comes from Carol. So Carol says, is it appropriate or not appropriate to use notes during an interview? So give me a thumbs up for this question if you've ever used notes in an interview before. Or give me a heart or a wow face. Now, this question is debatable. So if you're going to a more casual interview, you don't want to take a bunch of papers with you, but if you have like a couple questions that you've written down on your phone or typed in on your phone, you might be okay taking it out, but my recommendation here, Carol, would be to not take notes. So my recommendation would be to prepare ahead of time as much as you can. So what this entails is learning as much about the company as you can. So research their website, take a look at what's happening with that company on social media. So really just looking at what the company is looking for in the ideal candidate. If you have a good grasp of that, you'll have more ammunition when you go into the interview, and you really won't need notes. The other thing I would recommend doing, Carol, is to prepare questions that you want to ask them. And you don't have to prepare a lot of questions. I have a video that actually gives you 5 questions that you can ask, and they're actually really good questions. So I'll post that below as well in the comments. But what you want to do here is get as much prepared ahead of time as you can. And in addition to questions, talk about or know what your accomplishments are. So any question that they have for you, you'll have a good series of stories that you can tell about your accomplishments and some of your achievements. And I do have a video coming out on Thursday this week all about what are your greatest accomplishments, how to answer that question. So I'll share all these links below, and that will help you get better prepared. And then you won't need notes. So I'd recommend not taking notes unless it's a casual environment and you think of something on your phone you want to look at, but really you shouldn't need to take notes for your interview or take them with you. So good question. Thanks for asking that, Carol. Okay, this one comes from Rana G. So this came up in a conversation, and this question is, how can an introvert, hard worker person seem friendly with his colleague or in an interview as well? Now, give me a thumbs up if you have ever been in this situation where maybe you feel like you're the introvert and it's hard to get out. I know that I'm going to do a thumbs up for that because I know for sure that's happened to me before. Or maybe you've had someone in your work setting that was an introvert, and maybe they weren't as big on groups and things like that. So when it comes to this type of personality, and I think we all have a little bit of introvert and extrovert in us. I do believe that depending on the situation, it depends on where we're at and what we're doing. You really need to be strategic about your interviews. So when you're with people, it actually drains energy for an introvert. Extroverts get pumped up by people. So when they're with people, they're like, yes, this is awesome. I need to be around as many people as I can, and then I can go into my interview or go to work and feel great. Where an introvert, that's going to be opposite. So my recommendation would be, before your interview, really plan out your time. So you don't want to be around big groups of people and really mingling with a ton of people. Keep your time alone. Be alone before your interview and spend some time on your own reflecting to give you that energy going into the interview. Now, the other thing you want to do, and this goes back to the question that we had before, is prepare as much as you can ahead of time for your interview. So when you go into an interview, the more you know ahead of time, the more comfortable you're going to be, and you won't feel like you have to exert as much energy and effort. So preparing as much as you can ahead of time. Again, that goes back to the interview questions, making sure you know some questions to ask them, and know how to answer some really popular questions. And I have a playlist over on YouTube with the most popular questions that are asked in interviews today. So you can take a look at that as well. And then also talking about or knowing like your worth. Again, this is really similar to the other question, but knowing what value you can contribute. So a lot of times introverts are very detail oriented. They're fantastic working on their own. Autonomy is a perfect thing for them. So think about those skills that you can share in an interview. Now, some experts recommend just coming out and telling your interviewer that you're an introvert, but I don't know if I agree with that, because I don't feel like being an introvert or an extrovert should determine if you get a job or not, or should determine if you're qualified. I don't think that should come into it at all. Now, in terms of working with your colleagues, and once you're in the work situation and you're at work, I think it's okay to tell people, hey, I prefer if we if my meetings are in smaller groups or whatever that might be, but I would wait, or you don't even have to say it, but try and maneuver smaller group conversations if you can. Like if a whole ton of people are going out to lunch and you're just like, I'm really not comfortable with this, maybe you can go out to lunch with like 2 or 3 people, or because yeah, it does get draining on your energy. So I would just keep that in mind. And I'll share the videos up down below for you to help you with this question. So that was awesome. Thanks for asking that. Okay, next question comes from Catherine. So this question was also posted in our Facebook group, the Career Club, and she says, I'm looking for advice on writing a thank you letter. I had an interview with a great nonprofit. She's doing accounts payable, and she would love to get the job offer. So give me a thumbs up if you've been in this situation before. You've had an interview and you really want to get the job. You thought the interview went great and you're thinking, okay, what can I do next to really land this job? So this is actually a great question. And Catherine, I have a video. I know I have a lot of videos. I have a video about how to write a thank you or a follow-up letter. So I'll link that up below. But just some kind of general rules. You want to make sure you get that follow-up letter in, or that thank you letter in, within 24 hours. So you want to get it submitted as soon as your interview's over. Now, some people recommend you could even do a thank you card. That's a really nice gesture that a lot of people won't do, and that is something certain to make you stand out. But even a formal letter that you email to someone would work too. I would always recommend, if you interviewed with more than 1 or 2 people, to send a little message to each of those people if you have their business card or if you know their email address. If not, you can just send it to like the main hiring official. The other thing that I would recommend is when you're writing your letter, make sure you thank them. So you always want to express gratitude for the opportunity. They took the time out of their day to interview you. You always want to talk about that. And then this is the perfect time to kind of seal the deal and mention something that maybe you forgot to mention in the interview, or reiterate something that shows why you are the best fit for the position. So thank you letters are so powerful. In fact, the video that I provided, or that I did on YouTube, I actually provide a free download for a thank you letter template. I would highly recommend, if you're in this position, to grab that thank you letter template, because it will really help you. And you can change it. It's a template that kind of just shows you the basic, how do I write this letter? And then another really cool thing that you can throw in here is try and show your personality a little bit. Because employers are hiring based on personality, and I'm sure that they got that from you when you were there in the interview with them. But again, it's just another way to seal the deal. So good question, and I'll also link that interview template up below, the follow-up. Okay, here we go. Next question comes from Frederick. And Frederick asks, my biggest challenge is the education section of my resume. Up to which level should I add or start with? Now, the education section can get a little bit dicey depending on what education you have, your accomplishments, all sorts of things. So when it comes to your education, a really good rule of thumb to follow is, if you are a recent high school graduate, that's okay to include your high school graduation or your high school degree. Now, I get a lot of resumes that people have graduated like 5 or 10 years ago and they still have their high school on the resume, and that's a huge no-no. You want to get rid of that high school education once you've attended some sort of continuing education. So an associate's degree, maybe you're completing your bachelor's degree, whatever that is, you can take off the high school education and just put in, even if you haven't graduated yet, you can put in the new diploma or the degree or whatever it is that you're working toward. Now, if you haven't been working toward anything and it's still been a while, you could potentially include it, but yet again, I don't think I would include it at all. I would find some type of continuing education to get under your belt so that you can put that on your resume. Now, I do have a video that talks a little bit more about limited work experience. So I'll link that video up below so that you guys can see that. And that actually walks you step by step how to create or how to form the education section on your resume. So what I want to know from you guys today is, what has been your biggest takeaway? So we talked a little bit about resumes. We talked a lot about interviews. We talked a little bit about LinkedIn. And I know that I share a lot of content every week, either on Facebook or on YouTube. But what has been your biggest takeaway today?